Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Tried and Tested podcast. I am your host, Tracy. And if you're not familiar with my show, this is a dating and relationship podcast where we talk about everything where it comes to love, relationships, situationships, marriage, dating, friendships, you name it. So today we have a special guest. We have my girl, Andrea. Say hey, girl.
Hello. How are you?
I am wonderful and I'm so glad to have you. And so today, the topic that we have here is women and men trying to make it work at all costs, even when the relationship is non-existent. So just for a little breakdown, this is kind of regarding maybe couples that have dated in the past and the relationship is over and one person cannot really accept it, and they're still trying to make it work. It can be a situation like a talking phase that began and it never got anywhere, and one person really still wants to make it work. Or it could be one person liking someone and the other person is just not really interested in that way, and that person
Hmm.
is still trying to make it work. So these are all, they kind of all fall under this category of these non existent relationships. So,
Yes.
first and foremost, Andrea, what
Yes.
is your relationship status? Are you single, married, or in a relationship? So we know where the advice is coming from.
So I'm single,
Oh,
100%.
okay. Yeah. All right. So, what is your definition of a healthy relationship?
A healthy relationship, in my opinion, is a relationship where there is open communication. In my opinion, communication is key in all relationships, whether romantically or platonic. And so a relationship that has a healthy communication style is paramount, in my opinion.
Okay. All right. So, whose job is it to make a relationship work? You know, sometimes you hear that, oh, it only ends if the man gives up, or like, so do you think it's both parties, the male, the female? Like, who do you think?
I feel like both parties have a role to play equally. It's weird because when a woman is checked out, typically, quote unquote, then a woman is checked out, then it's done. But it could be the same for a man as well. So I feel like equally both parties for sure.
Okay. All right. So, what is your definition of a non existent relationship?
Non-existent relationship. Mm-mm-mm. The non-existent relationships to me are the relationships that are fabricated, that we think are there when it's not there, just based on emotions and nothing foundational, truly.
Okay. So is it like a friendship you think can be like a non-existent relationship and maybe like one person likes the other person, or like, yeah, I'm just trying to gauge.
It, yeah, no, I feel like it could go any way, honestly. It could be in friendships where you feel like, you want to be really cool with this person because you admire something about them. And so someone could attach themselves to the person in hopes that the relationship could bloom. But there's nothing there to tie the two together. There's nothing there,
Mm,
you know what I mean? No
yeah.
common ground to share in that sense. And romantically, you know, when you have your eyes set on someone and it's just not there in a sense.
I know that
Yeah.
definitely makes sense. And
Yeah.
I think that it's interesting, because when I made the topic, I was definitely thinking about a situation, that I've experienced this with men before, right?
Hmm.
Where there is no relationship. Sometimes the friendship, like, I started to realize there's different types of friendships. So there's men that you can actually be friends with, and there's men that you keep
Yes.
in contact with, but there really is no foundation of a friendship. Maybe they just want to
Right.
date you, but you know what I mean? And
Right.
so I think,
Absolutely.
yeah. And so I just think that, I don't know, like, I think that it's something that does happen often where somebody has a one track mind, whether it be the male or the female, and they kind of feel like, hey, like, I want you, and that's really all that matters. And so it's essentially a non existent situation, but in their
Right.
mind, they're winning you over. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Exactly. And this is why communication is key again. Because if,
Yeah.
we're not on the same page, how does this work? How do either of us know where we stand in that, that instance?
Mm.
So it's so important in that way to be sure like there's a good communication
But
between the two
so
parties.
I feel like I agree with the communication aspect, but like I said, when it happens to me, I think that some people just don't want to hear what you have to say. So if you say that, hey,
Hmm.
like I'm not interested, because one of my well, he wasn't my guy friend, but we were cool. But it's like
Yeah.
when he would be like, oh Tracy, like I'm gonna marry you, I'm gonna this, I'm gonna that, and I'm like, bro, like I'm not feeling you like that. And then it's kind of just like with the situation,
Yes.
it's kind of like people are delusional. And the reason why we actually stopped being friends was because whenever we would get to a comfortable place in our friendship, then he would start bringing it up again. And it kind of got old. It was just like, listen, I feel like you're trying
Right.
to,
And weird.
yes, or forceful or aggressive. And I'm like,
Mm,
man, if someone doesn't like you, then you got to just respect yourself and kind of do better. That's the
right.
way I
So
feel.
that's actually, it's funny that you mentioned that because what happens even when you do communicate it and it's just not received, right?
Yeah.
That's so tough. That's
Yeah.
crazy. I can't believe that that happened.
Right.
But right, no, seriously. But it's so crazy to me that people just don't respect boundaries. And that's again why it's so important to make boundaries
Yeah. But I think
for
people are
that
taught
reason.
to go and get what they want. You know what I mean? And people
It's
end up
true.
getting what they want. So where do you draw the line?
I feel like for me, we say it, we have a conversation two times max, and then you just gotta get the situation right there. Because
Yeah.
at that point, it can become stressful.
Yeah.
No one
Yeah.
wants to be put in a situation where they feel stressed.
Yeah. This is true.
Um,
And I wonder
yeah,
where that mindset comes from. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think that you should be able to kind of pick up on context clues when someone is not interested, whether they said it, whether they haven't said it. And like you said,
mm,
communication really is key because I
yes,
think that that allows you to realize. Like, I had watched a movie recently, and I
mm,
don't even know the name of it. It was on YouTube, but it was an African movie, and it's like
mm,
the girl was really trying to pursue this man, and I think like she would go to his house, she would do his laundry, she would make
just doing the
food.
most. Yeah,
Yeah, but the thing is, here's where the issue comes in too. I felt like I'm like, man, like the guy is telling his bros like I don't like her, I don't want her, but it's like some men are afraid to hurt women's feelings, and so
mm,
he was like telling her in such a passive way that I'm not
yes.
interested in you. You get what I'm saying?
That is very true as well. And
So,
that's something that, yeah, because you don't know when to be, especially if you're just a genuinely nice person, you
mhm.
don't want to be harsh, right? And
Yeah,
so you struggle in that aspect of when do I, put my foot down or make it seem or make it known that like I'm not interested and it's going to come off in a harsh way. Um, and then if that happens, you may lose that friend. So it's definitely a tough situation to be in for sure. But I feel like, yeah, people got to learn to respect boundaries, especially now. Got to respect people's boundaries.
that's what I'm
No is no.
saying. And that's
Yeah.
exactly how I feel. And I feel like I don't know, like for me, I always wondered like what would it be about one particular person that would make you so infatuated when you know they don't want you? You know what I mean? Like what do you like what are they giving to you? You know what I'm saying? If they're not showing you romantic interest, right? What are they doing that would
Yeah.
kind of continue to make you feel like, oh, I have a chance, I have a chance?
People
Which is
just have
something.
those qualities, sadly. And they're looking at the qualities and not the actual circumstance, which is why we have to, especially as women, take our head out of the sky. Sometimes we could, um, be a, be obsessed or not necessarily obsessed, but really look at, what we see in the person, qualities, what they could be, potential, and not necessarily look at what they're showing us right now, which is I'm not interested. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
tough.
So, I mean, we kind of mentioned this a little bit. So, do you think that the other party has a responsibility to be clear and then end the friendship if needed, if they're not getting their point across?
Absolutely. Because
Okay.
you gotta protect your peace at the end of the day.
Mm. No,
It's
this is true.
important to do that.
This is really, really true. And so do you think that the people like so I'm looking at the guy that this happened with me and I'm just trying to figure out like what was the mentality, what was the mindset when somebody rejects you, what makes you desire them more? Do you feel like it's an insecurity? Do you feel like they're living in
Mm.
hope? Like what is it that, keeps the fire burning one-sided?
Right. Honestly, it could be a little bit of both or both entirely because,
Mm.
people just don't give up hope. And sometimes with that, strong hope, you do eventually get what you want. How many
Yeah.
times have we heard women just gave in? You hear them, he was really chasing after me. He was really, really putting in the effort. I wasn't interested, but he never gave up. And so I gave in and I realized he was such a great guy. We've heard those stories too many times,
Yes.
right? And so I feel like it could be both hope and just insecurity. It could be something childhood, right? Like I was raised in a home, and if I continued to ask for something, that's when I finally got it. It wasn't something that was just handed to me.
Mm.
So I
Yeah.
had to continue to pursue, and that's how I got what I wanted. And so people sadly go into relationships or pursue people with that mindset.
No, this is
But
really true.
right?
I know you were
Yeah.
saying?
Oh no, I was saying, and in that, it's a me thing, sadly, right? Like
Mm.
no consideration of the other person at all.
Wow, no, that's really true. And I actually
Mhm.
know, I heard like this past weekend, a lady was saying, like, she was telling me a story, and like this man, he married the girl, like she was pursuing him relentlessly, and she was like
Mhm.
that. At one point, he realized, why am I fighting this girl? She gives me whatever I want, and he actually
Right?
married her. You know what I mean? So
You
I think
see?
that
You see what I
that's
mean?
crazy. But then I feel like if
Literal
you have to
pursuit.
do all of that, is it your part? Is it the person you're supposed to be married to or be with?
Right, absolutely. Like, is that how your relationship is going to be? Like, you're at 1,000 and he's at 100? How fair is that? At some point, you're
Right.
going to be exhausted and then become, resentful, even that you're the only one making so much effort and it's
Yes.
not
And I
reciprocated.
exactly. And I think one of the things I've noticed, I have a friend in a situation like that. I believe that if a man pursues a woman, I think it could work out a little bit more. But if a woman pursues a man, you will be pursuing him for the rest of your life. Because when he's ready
Absolutely.
to call it quits, because you put the most effort in, you're going to be the one trying to hold it together.
Right. Absolutely. And that's the harsh reality, right?
Mm-hmm.
We live in
Wow.
a world where it's like, what's the phrase? Women can do everything. And
Mhm.
so it doesn't leave the man to do much, right? In
Yes.
this, we don't expect them to do much, which is not good. They still should,
Mercy.
right? They still should pursue. Why are we only ones
Yes.
doing it?
Oh my
We
goodness. No,
can't
I
do
definitely
everything.
exactly. To me, I think it's embarrassing. Like, I mean, my
Yeah.
friends actually I have two guy best friends, and
Hmm.
they kind of feel like my way of dating is old school. But let me tell you something. I will never
What's your way?
pursue
What's your way?
I would not pursue a man. I don't care. Like
Wow.
we could sit here till that kingdom come. If you feel like you like me, let me know, and then we'll kind of go from there. But if you don't feel
Right.
like you like me, trust and believe. There's nothing there for me. I don't want somebody that bad. I just have never been like that. So
No, and it's important, yeah, because imagine really chasing someone like, no, it can't work like that.
I don't even have it in me. Like, so as we're wrapping up, I want to get
Yeah.
your advice. So basically, I watched like a podcast recently, and the man was talking about something similar to this, and he was like,
Mhm.
"Ladies, it's okay to be single and wait, rather than for you to take what you can from a person or take a piece of a person." So, what would be
Mm,
your advice to anyone that was in this situation, male or female, but you are female, so that's
mhm,
going through a non-existent relationship that they cannot let go?
mm. Definitely open your eyes. Do not look for what you want. Instead, look at what you see.
Mm-hmm.
Because we tend to always have our, again, fantasy of what we want or what could be. And so we have to really be realistic with ourselves and know that, okay, this is not here. Like, we are not on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
And for my sanity, I got to step away. It's important to just step away. We got to know when to hang it up when it's ready to be hung up.
Okay. No, I
Right?
definitely agree. I think that, I know that there's not a lot of men out in the world. I think, what is it, 7 women to every one man. But no,
Right.
I have to agree. Like, I feel like there has to be one man that sees you as a prize. And you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, it's just, I agree. All right. So,
Yes.
any
Because
last
how will
words?
you appreciate? Yeah. Because how will you appreciate me if, you know what I mean? You feel like you have 10 other women. You can't
Yeah.
appreciate me.
No, this is
Yeah.
true. This is true. And the women are the prize, not the men, even though they be feeling
There
like
we
that,
go.
because that's a whole nother
No,
episode.
that's another topic, okay? But
Yes.
absolutely, you are the prize, and
Yes.
always remember that.
Agreed. All right. Well, thank you so much, Andrea, for coming on the show. Thank you for giving us your advice and your expertise. So, if anybody wants to find you after the show, you did mention you're single. I mean, what, where would they be able
Ah,
to locate you? Are you on Instagram, Facebook, or whatever? Like, how would they be able to find you?
you are funny. I am on Instagram forever.andrea.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. And to my
Absolutely, it was a
listeners,
pleasure.
yes, to my listeners, thank you guys for tuning in. Once again, if you have any questions or any comments, you can feel free to email me at tracysarpong@gmail.com. My Instagram will also be in the link of the description box. So until next time, guys, bye bye.